All right, so I got the Mortal Kombat theme song in the background. Pretty nice, ain't it? Yeah, and it's the Hano version too, right? Um, so I've been constantly working on my psychoanalysis indicator, try to improve it, try to continue growing with it, right? Um, like this indicator is not mine right here, but and this one here is going to be raw CBD. Um, but we're on the daily chart. So it likes to use tick data, and most of the indicators on here that are like, for day traders and stuff like that, they use tick data. Oh, V8 plus energy, right? Fucking watermelon and guava. That's the shit right there, man. That's fucking good. I mean, if you're gonna have, energy is kind of like energy drinks are bad for you, anyways. But at least this is the less of the two evils, right? Mm, shit's good. All right. So here's something that I want to point out. So I got these profile, these buckets set for certain price ranges, with buying, right? And this is 500. This is dollars amount, right? So it has nothing to do with shares. It's that's more of a bookmap thing, or one of those other programs. But this one's cash, so it's talking about how much money someone's buying, for certain price range, right? So what I did was I filtered it out with 500K, 100K, up to 500K, and then 1K up to 10K. So you get to see like all the retail participants right here, and you get to see kind of like someone that has money, right? And then you get to see someone that someone that paying no expense, right? And you can see at this price range right here, and that happened here. You see this gray zone in the back? That's where it's getting the data from, right? On the prices and the buys and sells, and whatnot, within certain price ranges. Um, so it's not counting in this. So it's only getting the data from this area. So when we see this big candlestick go up a few days ago, that's because somebody bought, over a $500,000 worth of shares within that price zone. Um, and then not just that, you can see within the 100K to 500K range, there's barely any selling right there, um, right here in this highlighted zone, but there's a lot of buying. So even the fact of it had a lot of buying as far as, or it had a large buy, right? It also still had a lot of buying going on with the mid class, right? And then you can see this as far as like the retail, you can see they were selling in that zone. They weren't really buying. There's no really buying going on there. Anything under, $100,000 to $1,000. There's more selling going on here. But you can see smart money, right, was actually buying in this zone right here. You know, big money, smart money, right? Guys with fucking strong cash flow, right? Um, you haven't seen that movie? That's a badass movie. I suggest watching it. And I also have this other graph right here. This is for a different calculation, but they're all tied into the same thing. Now I updated this indicator right here because it needed to be more, you know, in tune to what the CBD is doing. So I upgraded it. So now it's continuation. Um, so yeah, this zone right here is very important. You see how CBD works? right? Now look at price action in the same zone. Preemptive strike. That's what CBD is. That's why I love CBD. It's preemptive strike, man. Fucking, any gamer would know what, preemptive strike, right? Preemptive attack, right? Uh, it's basically like first strike, right? But yeah, in this zone here, you can see CBD was moving up while price was going down. So that's the whale bottom scenario kicking in, right? There was a little bit of that going on here, right? But price started going up, so it was tracking it. Whatever, right? But yeah, that's pretty cool. Um, yeah, like I said, this is a different type of calculation. But yeah, we're still seeing buying pressure coming in. It's weakening a little bit, right? Now, if you look at I got the dashboard over here, and if we look at now let's see, we try to play the same song over and over again, huh? Maybe, maybe something will come up on that. Yeah. Okay. So I got it set up on. You can see it on the dashboard, right? You have the minute, the 8 hour, the weekly, and the 2 week. I can expand on that, right? But things are gonna get really freaking messy unless I turn it down to the cycle time summary, right? Which it combines all the cycles together and creates one summary out of it. So let's show you how that works here. We need to go see. This is all details. We need to go to all summaries, right? So now it shouldn't change because I only have one time frame per bracket or you know bucket. So now let's activate all of the time frames except for the 12 hour. That's going to be for asset that runs 24/7 nonstop, holidays, weekends, whatever. That's a cryptocurrency thing. Um, the 1 day, 3 day, and 2 week. Right, we should see an update. There it goes. Okay, come back over here. We can zoom in a little bit. Now let me make sure that I have this on the right. See, it's on regular cycle analysis, not taking in CBD. So let's change it over to CBD. Oh, I might have. No, okay, there it goes. Okay, okay. So now it's running CBD only. Um, Now this is the first time I've turned it on to actually see what it looks like, which I should have probably done that earlier. But I already know what the cycle and the subgraph is going to look like, and it only goes out so far unless you widen the time frame. But you want that, that pure granularity. Granularity. You want the pure time frames, right? So like the smaller the time frame, the better. Got the 1 second data. I think what was it? I don't know. Yeah, granularity. 5 second. Um, EMA, but that's on the RMA because it does better there. Yeah. Um, so basically, it's supposed to be tracking the CBD within these time zones. Now, if we take it back, right? instead of having the summary on there. So we get rid of the summary. Oh, right. And then let's just do all details. Now it's gonna look like a mess, but I'm gonna fix it. I'm gonna go back. See, that's what it looks like. That. So we're gonna take that off. That off. Um, but it's better to have more options too. That way you can do an analysis on multiple different things at the same time. So we want 2 week. Oh no, we do want 1 week. Um, eh, let's do the 3 day instead. 8 hour, and we're gonna do 30 minutes. And you can change any time frame you want on here. Whatever time frame is available for you, you could adapt it to that. So all of the above. So right now that's what I have it on, and then that's what the dashboard should show, right? Um, and now I honestly think the 2 week might be too long. Hmm. If you want something more quicker than that, honestly. So you know what? Let's change this to the 1 week instead, since we got the 3 day there. See what that looks like. All right. So that's basically signaling what the CBD signaling, right? Um, see how when you had multiple bottoms that were in this zone right here, right? You had this one, this one, this one, and this one. Nope, I'm gonna have to wait for later. So you had one, you had the minute, the hourly, the daily, and the weekly. Technically, 1 week isn't weekly, right? But I put it on the daily just to have more time frames, larger time frames on the bucket. Um, but yeah, this is what it was signaling here. It was right this zone right here. What was this zone right here? And then you started seeing CBD move its way up, right? But price action was moving its way down, right? So that's like the proof in the pudding. When you get CBD going up, right? With price action going down, right? You get that. Then it converges, and then it does its thing, with price action catching up later. So this is it flows quicker. Like I said, it's like first strike. Um, so it's pretty cool. And then on the dashboard, right, you can have all that. Let me delete these drawings. You can have all that information on the dashboard. Um, oops. Now, for me, what I'd like to see, just by analyzing how this indicator corresponds with the other price action, which corresponds with this, it corresponds with that, and it keeps on building on itself. But there's certain things that I like to see line up. Um, you see how on this indicator right here, see how it goes from green to blue to green to blue, right? So the blue is like a it's when they're both happening simultaneously, right? When you're getting the signal that you should be buying, but at the same time, since it's kind of inversed into it, it flows. It's picking up the selling, or I mean the buying here. So it's picking up the buying going on. It's picking up basically this blue area right here every time you get this signal right here, it's going to be selling off. Right? That's the reason why they call the buying indicator, because it's inversed. You got to think, well, it's getting cheaper, right? So it's a buying signal. Um, so basically, what it's picking up on price going down and CVD going up, and that's the reason why it's showing this blue cloud right here within this. Uh, I guess you could call it downward trend, right? Because this is an upward trend, that's a downward trend, right? And so that's what it's picking up on. So for me, when I see this, and I'm the one who created it, when I see this, I'm thinking to myself, I need to start looking for an area of interest, because position is paramount, right? And price is paramount. So timing and stuff like that also fall in. But nevertheless, when you start seeing the longer time frames, you get the minute time frame fluctuating. You probably would shut that off if you're on the daily time frame, right? But you want to see it, you can see it, right? So let's go ahead and shut that off. There you go. No more 30 minutes. Okay. Let the indicator catch up. There we go. Now we have the 8 hour, 3 day, and weekly, right? Um, you know what? Let's change something too. Let's look at a really longer time frame rather than the weekly. I mean, yeah, the 8 hours is good, the 3 days is good, the weekly's kind of like the 3 day, more or less. I don't know. Let's take it off of the weekly and let's do the 1 month, right? Okay. So you see the 1 month ticked up, right? So now the underlying wave, right? One of the strongest time frames is right here. What it says is neutral. I guess it has to pass this 50% marker right here in order to actually be on an uptrend in by definition, right? But still, it ticked up. So that's a good sign. Now we could actually change it to a lower time frame. It's still heavy, right? Go maybe the 3 week instead. There we go. Okay, so 3 week. 3 weeks positives going into a positive structure. Um, Monthly ain't there yet. It's only 1 week difference, right? But yeah, you can see that, all this good stuff right there. Um, Maybe we need to go. Nope, bring to the front doesn't even have that available. Hmm, interesting. Might have to see what the hell's going on there. So, mm, hmm. Well, I mean, there's so much to show, really. Let's do this. Let's do the masters. That's basically all the time frames together. And we're going to do custom summary stack. Now we're going to enable all the time frames. This should be on 2 instead. Okay. So there's the summary of the 10 minute, the 30 minute, the hourly, the 2 hour, the 4 hour, the 8 hour, the the 1 day, the 3 day, the weekly, the 2 week, the 2 week, 3 week, and monthly, right? So there's a summary on how that is. And then we wanted to get the master right here. Basically, it's going to take these summaries, right? The minute, the hourly, the daily, and they're going to compress it into one, right? Right there. So the hourly summary, right? Show cycle. Okay. So that's the master. That's taking in all of these, right? This one makes a summary for the minute. This one makes a summary for the hour. This one makes a summary for the daily, and this one is going to be for the weekly. And then it takes the summaries, combines them together, and makes a master indicator, right? So like these zones right here were buy zones. Here, here. That was probably buy the dip. But you see it within this area right here was definitely an area of interest. Um, but over bot zones is pretty much like this right here, but it's still ticking down even though price is going up. It is CBD. What do you expect, right? It did have a little bit of a sell there. So yeah, it's pretty much how the Masters works. I could change the time that is used to calculate it. Maybe let's see, 5 seconds. I think that's just for the primary indicator, so I'll turn that off. I think it's this one here, 15 seconds. Okay, yeah, 15 seconds. But the more time you add to it, it's not getting like the pure data. It's getting it in 15-second blocks. So that's the reason why I look. That's the reason why it's going to look like you extend it out a little bit more right there, and then we can extend it out even more. We can do 1 minute, right? It changes the math. And we're going to keep it the open close just for the sake of not getting confused, right? So the only time it actually said that it was like all the time frames were pretty fucking high, right? It was within this, and even though like you have this tick up right here, right, and then you had I mean shit, you're gonna have something like this, and then you're gonna have to go back up, right, like that. So even though you had that going on there, it still said that it was pretty much like heavy in the upside, right? So that's interesting. Let's drag it out further. 1 minute. Let's do 3 minutes. Okay, right there. So it was saying this zone here was pretty much an overbought zone, and if we line it up, let's see, with a vertical line right there. You have this zone right here. So it's not gonna pinpoint the top, but when you get something like that, you should probably be cautious a little bit. Here's a area of interest. This is all looking back, but oops, right here, you, know, you can see there was a divergence there. Mm, We had these going up. You can probably just stop right there, though. Got that going up, right? Making higher highs and higher lows. Well, starting from right here, price was dropping. Yeah. Yeah, but that's the masters. That's collecting all the time frame data and putting it into one single uh, cycle. Um, but maybe with this master cycle, you could probably say that there's a lower zone other than this zone is overbought. Probably needs to be a little bit lower, and then the oversold probably needs to be a little bit higher. Maybe I gotta run some back testing on that idea. Different stocks and stuff. Um, Drawings. Oh yeah, okay, go on. So yeah, that's pretty much the idea. So when something like this happens, that's a good buying opportunity. Now that I have the indicator, I could actually use it. Right. Past tense didn't have it. Remember when I made my first indicator? It was just like it was a table chart. Wow, how did I do that, man? It was awesome. Now I'm looking at it like, and I started actually able to read code now too because I'm watching, ChatGPT and whatever, Pinify or Claude or any of those programs that they're creating Pine script. And back then, when I first made my first indicator, I didn't even know what like what is this even talking about. It's like trying to read hieroglyphics, right? And now I see how the structure behind it is being made. Like what it actually means for the most part. Um, it's pretty interesting. So there's so many other things this indicator could do. But I think we're gonna have to worry about that another day. So you could change the mode, right? It's got raw money delta close, but you can do rebalance delta close, right? See if it, yeah, it adjusted a little bit. Now it's not overbought anymore, or it's not getting close to overbought anymore. Then you got the rolling normalized money close, delta close. That right there was. You pull back right there. And then you can change it with that. You can combine changes together, so it's like you know, it's interchangeable. Um, so money rebalance, do that. Then you could use EMA instead of RMA. That's going to change it, right? Yeah, a little bit. But I find that RMA is way better when it comes to CBD. And W or VWMA, right? It's pretty good too. And then just regular, but that's my favorite. We got it on the 3 minute. Now we could use let's see, previous close, right? So that's what it looks like. Now it's comparing, um, close from previous close, but it's using the 3 minute data, which I don't like to use. Even though it limits the history on it, it's still better to use the 1 second data. Um, yeah, still showing that there. RMA rebalance raw. Mhm. Um, yeah, bid and ask estimate. Yeah, this is the first time I'm actually, using the indicator. I just made it, or just not really made it, but upgraded it um, to have some other features and stuff. So the or was it the bid and ask and estimations? Doesn't look like it actually did anything. Nope, it slightly moved it. Okay. Yeah, yeah. Guess it was happened too quick. I didn't expect it to move so fast. So we're gonna go back to this one. Previous close. Okay. No bucket. Now, um, these right here, you have to turn it on. I think I have it on auto, custom, price source mode, right? If you go to custom and you change it to small cap stock, okay, there it is right there. It's this other table that's telling you, what the CBD is in purchases and stuff. So it's kind of cool to have, but it's not really nothing that's super important. So no bucket custom. Okay, so now it's not going to be doing it off a specific category like it was saying right here. You got Bitcoin and mega liquidity crypto. You got liquidity large caps, mid caps, small caps. Then custom, which is right here. This is my custom bucket. 1,000, 100,000, 500,000. On 1 second data, and then you can see what it's going to print out there. So I'm going to go to none. It says auto scaling. Invert. If you want to invert it, right? That's for that. Now this is where the calibrations come in, and really I just need to have them locked. But since it's in developer mode, it's going to be open like this. Uh, so I try to move the colors onto the styles, but for some reason there's a confliction of data going on there, and it doesn't want to do it because I think the source for the table that goes on the price chart, rather than this table right here that goes on the subgraph, is taking its information off of the somehow it's routed into the styles, and it doesn't want to change it. So I had no choice but to put the colors onto the input area. So yeah, that indicator is pretty cool. Um, I have it over here also, and then this is like the I'm trying to create the same type of analysis with smaller time frames. That way, possibly it could be used for like day trading or swing trading on lower time frames and shit. So here it is right here, and I got it at the settings: 30 minute, 8 hour, 2 week, 1 week, right? And I have this one over here. It's also useful. This I don't really know. I think it's kind of cluttered up a little bit, but it does make sense. And I have this line right here where the uptrend You can see the dotted line and the downtrend converge together, and it should be around the price of maybe 375. Right? But the center of the fair value gap that happened here, which is around, I would say, it says $3.73, but sure, we could round it down to $3.70, really, because there was two of them simultaneously. Well, on the 10-minute graph, right? So yeah, that's that there. Now this one's a little bit different. I'm kind of changing the way it works a little bit. Let me go to replay mode. Right. Let's look at it back from over here. And this time, right here at the absolute top. Right. Let's play it. So you could see the indicators and everything going off as time moves forward, but this is the important part right here. This is going to be the CVD delta analysis. It's summary matrix. It basically calculates how much was and how much is, right? And it creates a delta cost by tick. Now you got to have tick data. I'm using 1 second because my subscription ain't that good, but um, I don't need it because I'm not a day trader. But it does calculate it, so it's considering that to be a low cost tick per tick. Delta implied close. Now they're based on when the CVD versus the MA is 50 and 180. That's what I got them set at because I believe it's institutions love that 50 MA, right? They love that. And the overall trend, people say it's 200, but I'm more like, you know, I feel like in my testing, my due diligence tells me 180 is an uptrend. It's only a 20-day difference, but every day counts. So that's the EMA there, and then you have the slope. You have neutral, distributing or accumulation, and then you got the direction. It's a bear. It's in a bear stack right now because it's in a downward slope. But this is the bar. That's the daily, which is technically the bar because this is made for a lower time frame. But then the swing, right, which is multi days. Imbalance ratio, net delta. Um, you got the aggressive buys and aggressive sells. Now, as it's coming down, let's see here. I think this cycle was different than the other one, was it? Let's see. No, it's the same one. So like this one right here, this white line, this is a regime um, indicator. Tells you, what who's on the winning side of the regime. And we crossed through right here, but then we faded it as it's going down. And it was oversold there, so it's going to have to pop up. Got a lot of buying going on. It kind of fades a little bit. This is also a regime indicator. This oscillator right here, but it's set for a more dramatic shift. This one is more. This one's more static than that one is. Mm, that should have been like a buying area. See those little green dots that pop up? That's the signal that there was a lot of participation going on there, absorbing that zone. And then like this square, that's like a bottoming signal. Those little arrows are like bottoming signals. Some signals are better than others, and I'm trying to filter out the weak ones as I go. Right. So now this zone right here is very important. You had all this buying going on right there. Right. You had like this extremely oversold area right here. You had a bottom, but you had a lot of buying. Uh, green arrows going off right there, which means that everything is getting extreme. And then overbought is the good thing, because it can stay overbought for a long time. The most important thing is that when it gets out of overbought, you see how the 3 days kind of rolling down a little bit right there. And if you look at it, the 3 days like one of the most important cycles that Clover has. I see it very reliable. Um, okay, and oh yeah, I was showing a friend of mine, B-Rob, some analysis on cycle analysis, and I was measuring, the distance between, each cycle, trying to figure out, you know, where is the time of interest in the cycle, right? So we use time as a weapon. Now, and then we got to use other due diligence too, right? You got the options chain, you got dark pool data, you got short interest. See here, what else you got? You got cycle analysis. You got the intrinsic value calculation. Let's see here, what other tools, weapons do we have here? You got different versions of technical analysis. There's so many different versions, right? I don't use none of the old ones really. Fibonacci, trash. RSI, garbage. MACD, when was that thing created? Back in the 1900s? What the fuck? Anyways, so I was calculating the cycles, right? Let's see if I can keep it from looking like a mess. Um, Not really. Okay, so I'm gonna have to. I guess we're just gonna zoom in like this. So on the, I didn't have too many time spots to use as a data point, right? Because if I'm measuring um, the 2 week and the 1 month, right? And I think I started right here, right? And that's the 1 month. It's 354 bars, and then you have 1 month here, which is 325 bars. And that's from trough to trough, right? And then you have the 2 week, which is 150, 92, 160, 129. 158. And this was something different. This is the expected outcome, right? Within a 3-day trial. Uh, yeah. So it's all math, right? So if you get it, the calculations, and you add and subtract, add and divide, and then what you're going to come out with is an average expectancy. So this green line right here is when the 1 month cycle. You can see it right here. See if I can zoom in a little bit. This green line right here, right? This is the 1 month cycle, and it had a fake out right here. And then it went back down. But the thing is that from where it went back down to, which is at this level right here, we could say it's at 12.83%. And where it was at over here, which was 5.34%, that's a divergence from here to there, because even though price is lower, the cycle is still higher when it did, unfortunately, get a fake out. So yeah, you could actually draw a line across that and draw a line across here, and that was a divergence. We've already seen that going on over here, how CBD was going up, price was going down. That's basically explaining the same thing in a different way, right? With the cycle here and there, right? Yeah, like I said, it was like 12% something. Can't get it anymore, but it's like right there. Um, so here's the expected um, 1 month cycle from here to trough, right? This is my expectancy. It's just the way I see things going, right? With my due diligence that I have, with price and all the good stuff, right? Of course, no one knows the future, and if you say you know it, with absolute, you know, you're gonna make me laugh, right? Because nobody's absolutely correct. um, so yeah, I expect a trough on the 3-day to come in over here and probably end within this zone right here, which is going to be somewhere in the first week of June. I expect to test, this area. I would say it's going to be like, let me zoom in a little bit. What's that like? $3.65. Expect to test that area, complete a trough on the 3-day, and continue moving forward. The next trough lands here, right? So I got it ending at the very beginning. And the reason why I have that is because typically when you're in an uptrend or downtrend, the troughs are smaller um, on the 3-day. But if you're going sideways, if you're creating a bottom or top, the troughs are longer. So you got to make the difference. So that was that, and then there was another calculation that I've done. Where's it at? Okay, yeah. Here was the short one, which is currently where we're at right now, right? And then this is the long one. This is currently where I think we're going within this zone right here. Now, the trough on the using the smaller cycles when it goes on the uptrend or downtrend is already pretty much being included. But you can see the 3-day hasn't even had, not even trying to go down to cool off yet. So I'm still speculating that we have more sideways to go before the next up move. Um, and then this is the next expected one. And then this is the expected one for the the 2 week, and this is the expected one for the 1 month. Now it's funny how the 2 week and the 3 day, right, expected move lands in October. But either way it goes, if that's true, right, then there's going to be two tops coming up, I think. Um, just like how it was over here, right, in this zone, I think that we're going to see something like that play out right here in this zone. Let's go back. I'm going to say something play out like that right here in this zone, right? And that right there was supposed to be like the topping area. Right? We might have, no, hold on, let's go back. Let's do this one here, and then this one here, and then create this move here, which is going to be this, right? And then create that move here, right? Which is going to be this right here. And then after that, I don't know. My expected price zone that I'm looking for is going to be anything between, let's say, like $7, so right to $10, right? That's my expected zone. I think we're definitely be over five pretty fucking soon though. But yeah, we're gonna. I think we're gonna have this trough here. It was somewhere in between this time frame, which is gonna be. I guess it starts by the end of July to again the beginning of August, just like the end of which was hold on, oops, right here, the end of May to the beginning of June. So yeah, that area right there, and then over here, this is going to be the beginning of October for the next crop. But the tops themselves should be within these like zones, so that's going to be like maybe the beginning of July, and then maybe another one by the beginning of August, and then we should see some kind of like area right here take place of dropping consolidation. One last pump up, right? And that one last pump is going to be that one, and then it should come to some kind of clue. We're going to say it happened early in the cycle, right there. So it's going to be like towards November or something. Then it could go sideways because you got to remember there's some call options in January that are like $5 to $7. So I expect it to hold that price up until after maybe somewhere in February or something, and then really start moving on down. So this might be a you have to set a margin area. That's the reason why they're not perfect. They're areas of interest, but for margin of error, you have to set an area, right? So it could be coming down into the later half of that cycle rather than the exact middle, or definitely before. Not happening. It's not ending beforehand, right? It's not ending as soon as possible. But still, that's what I think. I think it's going to end either directly in the center, right, or towards the end of the actual cycle within that zone of the margin of error zone. Um, shit, can't do that. So I'm just gonna have to go back. Okay, yeah, just like that. So that's what I'm looking at here. You also have these zones. This is a different form of psychoanalysis right here. So all these and this was important bottoms, right? So that's a double bottom here and here, right? You got a little bottom there, and there was supposed to be some type of bottom coming in here. It hasn't confirmed it yet. That's what sucks about this one. It's always it delays the confirmation. But yet there is an important trough coming in here. You got three different time frames, and they're located over here on the dashboard. Um, right there, you got the 40 week is bullish, but the cycle. Oh yeah, that's the SE. Yeah, the SEQ on that one. But nevertheless, the cycle is 20, 40, 80, 20 week, and 40 week. And this mode is this, not that. These are different calculations. So you got the 80-day. This is green, green. This is yellow. So uh, bullish. The 20 week neutral to bullish, and then the 40 week is bullish. So that's this indicator right here. Now, if that's correct, it's funny how they line up, right, with my version of the same damn thing. You know, it's kind of, well, they're not exactly lined up, you know, just right there according to this, but I extended it out to the very end of the cycle, which is going to be right here, or the margin of error area, which is going to be right here. So that's the reason why the trough is ending on that date rather than here in the center or right here in the very beginning of the margin for error. The next one is coming up is going to be this one. And the center of it's here and here. So, you know, you could say, well, this cycle's longer from trough to trough, right? Um, so those dots are the center of the trough, and then the ending part from beginning to end is the from trough to trough. So you would have it looking at something like that, and then this one would be inside of it like that. And then it's saying there's a topping zone here, and then it's saying the larger one is going to be here, right? Um, so we do that. We tie it into what I have already. I would say it's more believable for this one here to be correct than it is for this one here. At least that's the way I'm looking at it. So if we do that, let's get a vertical line. Let's do that there. And then you're gonna have to give it a margin of error too. You know, I would say like 3 to 4 bars out both sides. So if you do that, it's gonna be like let's zoom in. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So somewhere within that area, according to this one, I would consider something going on there, and that makes me lean towards this uh, side of it right there. So the first uh, vertical line. Okay.